Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Green 19 podcast. I am Dominique Yates. I'm joined by Ryan Wood and Tom Silverstein. The Packers open up the 2025 season in impressive fashion, winning 27-13 over the Detroit Lions. And there's obviously so many different angles and things that we can touch on through this game. And as I always like to do before, after a game, just get initial thoughts and reactions. And Ryan, you can start it off just however you want to take it and go. Just, what do you make of this performance by the Packers in week one?
This was an ass kicking.
Yeah.
And if you subscribe as I do, coming into the season, that the NFC has a triumvirate of teams at the top, the Eagles, the Lions, the Packers. I picked this team to go 13-4 at the start of the season. They stay healthy. I feel pretty good about that. They look really, really good. And I think what stands out is it's been a frantic 10 days since the trade. I mean, everyone on that Packers defense, Rashawn Gary, Devontae Wyatt, Colby Wooden, they all find out on the fly that this defense that they spent the entire training camp preparing to play no longer existed. Now, it's a good thing, right? Because Micah Parsons is here. So, yeah, obviously that's a good thing. But that's a lot of work in 10 days to kind of scrap a lot of things. And, today, Micah Parsons on limited snap count, they kept a lot of their base stuff in. But you still have to accommodate a presence of that magnitude. And for that to be the unveiling, the pass rush was like Oprah today. You get a sack, and you get a sack, and you get a sack. We haven't seen that much against the Lions and this Lions offensive line the past few seasons. It makes I leave this wondering how much better it can get, how much more there is. And Micah Parsons himself even kind of referenced that at his locker after the game. They looked really good. I mean, saying the obvious, but they looked really good.
Yeah. Spoon, just for your, impressions and takeaways on this game.
I'm going to stick with what I said before on here, in that week one is not going to matter in week 11 or week 12 or whatever. Everything will change. I think the Detroit Lions are in a little bit of a transition, and I think the Packers took advantage of it. I think they have new coordinators. They have two guards. They had their rookie guard got just eaten, and it was a good time for the Packers to play the Lions.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And the thing they did was play physical. They played more physical than they've played the Lions before, and it showed in how they played run defense, I think. They really, really held Montgomery and Gibbs down. And that just changed everything. Because once Goff can do play-action stuff, then you're really in trouble. And here they just seemed to control the run game. And the Lions kept trying to run it, trying to impose their will, and the Packers wouldn't give in to it. So, that's a good sign for them. This is a week-to-week thing, and it was a good start for them to get a home win. And, they got some things to build on for sure. But, I don't want to make too much out of it because, win or lose week one is an anomaly usually. You never know what's going to follow in week two.
Yeah. But the biggest thing, too, though, for them, week one, like winning those division games. I think that was a big thing to do, just kind of setting the tone, winning those division games. And like you just kind of alluded to, and we did our predictions, that was one thing I kind of made the point of. It felt like the stars had aligned for the Packers to win a game against the Lions because it's week one. They're bringing in new coordinators and assistant coaches. They're bringing in new offensive linemen. Defensive players were out. So for the Packers, you had to win this game, and they were able to do that. And really, you can start with the offense or the defense, but I do want to hit on the offense, and we can talk more about Parsons here in just a minute. But I was curious about the offense, and I even wrote about the passing attack with Romeo Doubs had missed some time in camp, Dontavian Wicks had missed time in camp, Jaden Reed had missed time in camp, Jordan Love has a procedure on his thumb. So I was wondering how the offense would kind of perform. And the Lions, the game plan was they're going to take Josh Jacobs out of it, but the passing attack really did a step up and contribute. And I think Love hit 10 different, players throughout this game and threw to 10 different guys. What did you see just offensively, how they really just took advantage of the Lions?
This is how the Packers want to be in their passing game. They want to be egalitarian. They want to spread the ball across the field. 10 different targets with a catch, 5 with multiple catches. That is their blueprint. They for a couple years now, since Jordan Love took over, they do not want the days of Aaron Rodgers targeting, zeroing in before the snap on Devontae Adams and going to him over and over again. They want to spread the love more. That's what they were able to do. I thought, and this is still, it's hard not to circle back to Micah Parsons. This is still going to circle back to Micah Parsons. Yeah. I thought you saw a very comfortable quarterback. There's 2 reasons for that. One, the offensive line protected their heinies off. I mean, all day, Jordan Love had plenty of time to throw over and over and over again. At his best, Jordan Love has been great on third down. Down the stretch in 2023, you look at the height of his game, he was money on the money down. Jordan Love comes out today, and he hits his first 4 third down throws for 62 yards. One of those, a dime that he dropped to Tucker Kraft for his first touchdown on third down. This was Jordan Love at his best, but he looked awfully comfortable. The pass protection, but then when you bring in a Micah Parsons, you already have a Xavier McKinney. You kept Rashawn Gary in the trade. Edgerrin Cooper is wreaking havoc on the second level. You know that you have Josh Jacobs behind you. Obviously, what he had, like 54 yards today. It wasn't a huge day running the football, Spoon. I know you got plenty more on his impact. But Jordan Love knows he has all these pieces. He's in a different spot than Aaron Rodgers was for his entire career here, where so much of it came on his right arm and his legs, and you had to go make things happen. Jordan Love, he can be comfortable. He can take what's there. If it's not there, he can give it to the recently extended punter who can, just boom missiles off his foot, change field position, and put it in the hands of the defense. Jordan Love looked awfully comfortable, and that's when you get good quarterback play in this league, is when you have a comfortable quarterback.
Yeah, and he took care of the ball. I think that was another big thing that he did. And overall, he
wasn't forcing anything.
Yeah, he made smart decisions.
Right?
You're right. Like, anytime he tried to exploit a one-on-one, he might try to take it, even if he didn't complete it. But, yeah, he just didn't make a whole lot of just bad decisions. He tried to take a lot of what the defense gave him throughout the game. I want to, get your thoughts on the offense, and in particular, Josh Jacobs, and how even without him having one of those 100 plus yard rushing games and a bunch of touchdowns, you can still kind of feel his impact. And, just what did you kind of see from just the offense as a whole, and kind of what you wrote about with Jacobs?
Yeah. So he's going to have the target on his back most of the year. No teams are not going to let him, average 6 yards a carry. Mm-hmm. And I think he is still dangerous that way. And the Lions did a really nice job of bottling him up. They brought guys up to the line of scrimmage. They played their base defense most of the way. Second half, they even changed their fronts a little bit. But they were all in on stopping him. And what changed is that the Packers were able to pass off of that. Mm-hmm. And the part that was interesting was that Jacobs had to do some pass protecting. So he's not doing much in the run game, and now they're saying, well, you're going to have to pass protect because we want to give Love a lot of time, and he had a lot of time to throw, a lot of time. And now Jacobs said to me he was 6 for 6 on his blocks. He stoned them all.
I believe it.
But, as you pointed out before we started, Ryan, he did have a really good block on Romeo Dobbs. Deep ball, picked up Anzalone and pretty much did stone him. The Lions kept kept rushing. In fact, Dan Campbell said afterwards, he said, they thought they were going to go after that or use that, and then it kept getting picked up, so they backed off on their middle rush. So Jacobs, but Jacobs also, he sets the tone, He's a tough guy. He's a guy who plays like the Lions play. And I think he had some words for the team and said he didn't want to turn on the tape and see that they had gotten out physicaled. And so I don't think they did. I think they finally did, stand toe-to-toe with the Lions. And he's a part of it.
9 straight games going back to last season with a rushing touchdown, too.
Yeah.
Longest streak in Packers history. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But I think that was one thing about the offense that you kind of mentioned, and we talked about it at halftime on your blog. Like, it made sense, the Lions' game plan. Like, we're going to load up the box. Like, we're not going to lose because of Josh Jacobs, but it was a big step in week 1 that the receivers were able to win their one-on-ones. You saw, like I said, what Tucker Kraft was doing, his touchdown, the 48-yard pass to Dobbs, followed with the touchdown to Jaden Reed. So it shows what this offense can do if they put it all together.
The bottom line is if you give Jordan Love that much time to throw, if he has that much time to throw the rest of the season, this team's going to be just fine. Because they have too many targets. You can't cover that long in this league, week in and week out, against that many targets and get away with it. Yeah. That was a huge issue for the Lions.
Yeah, I mean, some of those routes were like 2-man routes, and he had all day to wait for the guy to clear. I have to give the offensive line some props too, especially because what was really good was they continually. So they chipped Aiden Hutchinson all game long, and that's smart. But they continually played like a unit, which is really interesting. Like, they didn't overstep on stunts. They were patient, let guys come to them. They doubled guys whenever they could. And then if somebody came off, they moved. They just were really in sync, which is hard to believe because they haven't been together.
Yeah.
Aaron Banks was gone for a big part of the camp with a back injury. Rasheed Walker was gone for a while. Elton Jenkins didn't take part in any OTAs, and they just look really together, and that was a good sign for them.
How about the other trade that Brian Gutekunst made at the end of camp too? I mean, last year the Packers' offensive line had uncommon durability. All 5 starters made 1,000 snaps. You knew that wasn't going to repeat itself. I don't think we know yet the extent of Zach Tom's injury. I think it was a promising sign that he didn't go to the locker room. He finished on the sideline.
Yeah, he was trying to loosen up
that
on
hip,
the leg.
So maybe the hip's not going to be long term.
Banks said that he was precautionary to take him out.
But you knew it wasn't going to repeat itself. That's just, you don't have all 5 starters play 1,000 snaps back-to-back seasons in this league. That doesn't happen.
Right.
So, first game of the year, Jordan Love gets flung into Zach Tom. Zach Tom leaves, and the other guy, I'm so emphatic I'm dropping the mic here.
Drop it.
The other guy that
take.
Brian Gutekunst trades for, a 6th-round pick to the Philadelphia Eagles, Darian Kennard, because he felt like they needed more depth on the offensive line after watching them all training camp. He comes in. Darian Kennard looked just fine. I mean, he looked really good.
Yeah.
Josh Jacobs had a 15-yard run to his side. He had a seal block against Aiden Hutchinson. I mean, I was pretty. It's not going to get near, nor should it, the buzz of the Micah Parsons trade, the Micah Parsons debut. But that's pretty good depth because I think that we all kind of wondered during the course of training camp how much depth is there on this offensive line. I mean, we saw Darian Kennard show that there's some depth there. That's significant.
Yeah, you have to hit on those guys. You have to find 3 or 4 guys, who are not street free agents, but guys you can add some depth. And while Kennard hadn't played a lot of snaps, he's been practicing with Kansas City and Philadelphia for 3 years. And so he's gotten some great snaps in practice.
The interesting thing, mostly during the last year, he'd been playing right guard too. And so now he comes in at right tackle. boy, it didn't look very rusty.
No, look good.
And I was even surprised because with Jordan Morgan, I was wondering where they were going to use him because he played so much tackle.
Yeah.
It was fascinating to see him and Sean Ryan repping at guard as well. And I guess, again, that's kind of the thing. If you're not just at the naked eye, you would be like, okay, nothing bad happened. So it's like you don't even know who's in at guard, who's in at tackle. So after seeing some of the preseason games and some of the practices in camp, just wasn't sure how the offensive line would mesh and gel. But at least for this game, they were really just clicking on all cylinders in that regard.
Yeah, and just on the Morgan-Ryan thing, it may turn out to be a pretty good thing for them to rotate. Because I think Ryan played really hard, looked like he played smarter than he has in the past. He had a great block on the goal line on Josh Jacobs' touchdown. Morgan had at least one one-on-one with Hutchinson on a stunt and did pretty well on him. So you're basically giving both guys experience. And if at some point, you feel like Morgan's a better pass blocker and you're playing some great pass rushing team, then maybe you play him the whole game or you just keep rotating him. I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
And you hit on it. Jordan Morgan, the better pass blocker. They're two different guys. I know we're really getting in the weeds here, but they don't overlap much. Like Sean Ryan is that out-physicaled guy. Yeah. He is that road grading right guard that is great with Josh Jacobs, and he can maul guys. His bugaboo is pass blocking, whereas Jordan Morgan at guard, where we've seen him struggle, it's with the physicality inside. But his pass blocking, we saw all camp, all preseason at left tackle, it's pretty solid. So you're getting two very different things there, which is another reason why you might rotate.
All right. Let's move into defense now, and let's talk Micah Parsons. I guess if you look at his stats, you see a sack, you see some hurries, you see some pressures, and it's not like, oh, my God, he did this, and this. But if you're watching the game, it's clear he made an impact. It's clear that he disrupted things, and you can also, in my opinion, you could see it with the guys around him, with like how Rashawn Gary played, getting his 40th sack of his career. And, Lucas Van Ness had some moments. It was fascinating to see him playing inside, what do they call it, the cheetah?
Yeah, the cheetah package.
The cheetah package. So it was just interesting to see at least this first game with, that 10-day window to get Parsons ready. What did you see out there just from the snaps of Micah Parsons?
Well, okay, one, his back is not a problem.
Yeah.
Can we finally put that to bed now?
Yes.
I don't think his back is a problem. Number two, I saw him. Well, number two, he was obviously fired up to play. He was playing at the end, he was really huffing and puffing. But I think he expended a lot of energy because he was just juiced up. But I was impressed that he had 2 or 3 pressures against Penei Sewell, and that's one of the best right tackles in the league, including the one on Evan Williams' interception. He beat him with a beautiful inside move. So, I think we have to get used to that. I think we're used to seeing guys get just, when they 4-man rush, they don't get anything. And now, Parsons is going to be someone who gets something, and the rest of the guys have to, pick up their game. But he's going to allow Jeff Hafley to rush 4 guys, anytime he's really worried about his secondary.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I talked extensively with Micah Parsons after this game. First of all, how about that moment coming out of the tunnel? And I pulled Rashawn Gary aside in the locker room, and I asked him about it. He said before that moment, he told Micah Parsons, granted, any other year, it might have been Rashawn Gary's turn to go out last. He's the homegrown guy, first-round pick, coming off a Pro Bowl in 2024, the first of his career. But he's totally fine giving way to Micah Parsons here. He said, just so you know, this is not Dallas. The ground is going to shake when you come out. Embrace it. Make it your expletive. Embrace the moment. And it did. This was Micah Parsons' day. As far as Penei Sewell goes, Micah Parsons said that, they started, and they did. They started the game, the Lions, single blocking him, believing that their all-pro right tackle would be enough. And he wasn't. And Micah Parsons, his coaches have said he's got a high football IQ. Well, part of that is he knows the significance of his matchup with Penei Sewell. He knows that battle in a lot of twice a year in a lot of games is going to dictate how the game goes. If Penei Sewell wins that battle, the Packers are going to struggle. Today, Micah Parsons won that battle. And he said, as far as after that interception, after that pressure, he started getting the chips, the slides, even the double teams that, Micah Parsons is used to seeing. He said that's the type of respect that's warranted, but you have to earn it out there on the field. So I've got to show them that I can beat their best, and that's what happened. But that's going to be a rivalry here for the next 4 or 5 years. I'm not going to be able to get rid of him. He's a hell of a player. I told him, I said, you're my new rivalry now. I don't get Lane Johnson anymore, Philadelphia Eagles. He's used to going to twice a year against Lane Johnson. It's going to be you. I'm going to see you twice a year, so you might as well buckle up. It's going to be a long one. Like, that is going to be so many times how games are dictated in this matchup, this rivalry. Today was Micah Parsons. And I did think the cheetah package. I asked Micah Parsons, and Rashawn Gary, what do you think of the, Lucas Van Ness's sack came at defensive tackle. They are willing to slide him inside, get those three guys on the field together. Micah Parsons said that he's been singing Lucas Van Ness's praises the past week. He did it during the week. He did it after the game. He said, this is going to be Van Ness's best year yet, and he's going to make sure of it. He's going to make sure that Van Ness gets a ton of plays. I think this could be, all this focus on Micah Parsons' influence and presence, how it impacts Rashawn Gary. I think it's going to bring out the best of Lucas Van Ness. It's very different up front right now.
It is. Speaking of up front, I also you have to talk about Colby Wooden and Devontae Wyatt. Yeah. Again, who knew what was going to come from this game because of Kenny Clark. Again, it's a short window from when they lost Kenny Clark, and you knew what you were going to get from a veteran that was going on 10 years, 30 years in this profession. But those guys, they held their own. You could say they clogged up holes in the middle. Devontae Wyatt got a big sack. Those guys were pretty consistently kind of at times really punishing that offensive line for the Lions that, had a center that retired. They had some guards that you kind of mentioned that they were rotating in and out. At least from this game, just kind of impressions on Wood and Wyatt and just kind of those D tackles.
Yeah, so I think what what those guys have to do up front is eat up blockers and not get blown off, on double teams. Don't, be able to hold your ground or slip the double team. Let Quay Walker and Edgerrin Cooper just clean up because Cooper did. I mean, he was ferocious in the hole. He came downhill and hit Montgomery a couple times. It just surprised me that he didn't bounce off. And Walker had an okay game. He looked a little rusty, but he hit, And I think those guys, if they can just keep linemen off their inside linebackers, they can survive. They can be a decent run defense. And then I still want to see, I think Parsons, we've just seen, the tip of the iceberg is how they're going to use him. I think we're going to see him picking out, roaming and picking out a matchup to where he can rush up the middle or whatever, to try to take advantage of the weakest link. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I give those guys credit inside.
Yeah, Colby Wooden had the best game of his career today. 6 tackles, 2 tackles for loss, and it's not insignificant that he's the guy that is elevated into this role, this higher role now with Kenny Clark no longer here. The Packers need him to be and do what he was and did today.
Yeah,
and it was. He
had a great camp. We all saw it.
He did.
Yeah, he did. You were high on him coming out of camp. Yeah. I think elsewhere there were some folks that wondered if he might get cut, and I never thought that was going to happen. But you were especially high on him, and he showed why today. It was funny. at his locker after the game, his post-game interview starts, and he's asked about the run defense. And it was just my job. I asked him, look, since the trade, there's been 2 talking points. 1, holy crap, Micah Parsons here. And 2, oh, how's this run defense going to be without Kenny Clark? And I asked, did you hear that? Did you take that personal? And he said he kind of lit up, and he didn't hold back. He said, oh, I for sure took that personal. My dad called me Thursday. Do me a favor. Shut them up. So I just did my job, went out there and stopped the run. I took it personal, honestly. I felt like it was kind of disrespectful, like, oh, they're going to run the ball. So I made it my mission to, and then he's like, we made it our mission to stop the run. Well, Kobe Wooden was a huge part of why they were able to stop the run. And still, we're going to circle back to Micah Parsons because on his second tackle for loss, Micah Parsons had 2 blockers on him, and Kobe Wooden said that it felt like the Red Sea opened up. No one was there, and he smashed the running back. Like, that's, for all the talk about Micah Parsons not being a good run defender, you watch his film over and over and over and over and over again. He's getting double teams in the run game. Often, the offense is running opposite side of him. They don't want to mess with Micah Parsons. Like he has a real influence in the run game as well.
He does, but I do have to go back to as far as with Parsons, that sack that he got on Jared Goff. It's just seeing just how fast he was.
Yeah,
he was on one end, beats the defender, flies and catches Jared Goff in the back.
He's catching Jared Goff, so it's not like it's Lamar Jackson. It's not like
Jared Goff had no chance.
It's not going to be Jaden Daniels.
Fair.
You know,
that's a fair fight.
Fair.
But I was taken aback too by how fast he was, how fast he closed, because he came from a long way to get that, and. You know, I don't know if any of the Packers have anybody anywhere on their team that could close like he did. So that was impressive.
How about this, though? I had Micah Parsons at unofficially 30 snaps today. It might be one off. We'll see what, the official stat book comes out with. But it's roughly 30 snaps. He had 3 pressures. And the first 2 against Penei Sewell. Then they had the sack, his third the sack was... It was a good emphatic stamp to a day that couldn't have gone better for this team. But it was the least impactful of the 3 pressures. Mm-hmm. I mean, the first pressure, on his very first snap of the day, the initial third down of the day, a 3rd and 7, he bull rushes Penei Sewell into Jared Goff, forces Jared Goff to get rid of a 3rd and 7 quicker and shorter than he wanted, and it ends with a dump off to Jahmyr Gibbs for a 2-yard loss. Mm-hmm. The second pressure was the play of the game, where he forces Jared Goff to get rid of the ball. He doesn't have time to read Evan Williams streaking over from safety. He doesn't have time to go through his progressions. Just has to get rid of the ball, and he throws it right to Evan Williams. Like, the sack was a good moment, and it was kind of storybook that he did get a sack in his first game. But it was the least of the 3 pressures in terms of significance. I think that says a lot.
Yeah. I mean, but that's why LaFleur and everyone said how much he can just change a game, how he can wreck a game, and he doesn't have to be the guy that's getting the sack, but he, in some way, you talked about so much what this defense has done. It kind of circled back to something that Parsons did on, you could say, up front. As far as, you could say, with the defense, like the pass defense, I don't feel like I got to see a whole lot of it just because there was a lot of quick game and they tried to run the ball a whole lot. Mm-hmm. So I didn't really get to see a whole lot. I mean, they didn't go deep at all, and for the most part. I don't know. Is it still too early to kind of get a feel for the pass defense?
Well, I think what we saw was it's going to be hard for Javon Bullard to cover the Amon-Ra St. Brown's in man coverage. That's just a fact. I mean, he's a safety, and that's tough. But, Keyshawn Nixon couldn't cover him either, Amon-Ra St. Brown, on that 3rd down slant. Amon-Ra St. Brown, who's smaller than him, just pushed him away. So, we'll see how that goes through the year. But he did have 9 tackles. And he was kind of all over the place, Bullard, I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. So I'm kind of interested to see where that goes and how they use him. Other than that, Carrington Valentine and Nixon played just fine. Mm-hmm. I don't think they were really tested tremendously because of pass rush was good, but that's what they need. And it'll be interesting to see if Nate Hobbs plays Thursday. Kind of would guess he would, and want to see what he brings in terms of the physical nature of that defense, because they did swarm quite a bit. It seemed like even on some of their smoke screens or whatever, if the guy got past it, there were three guys, pursuing, coming in, and there weren't a lot of yards after the catch, except for that broken play to Laporta.
Yeah.
I think that Carrington Valentine had the play of the day that nobody will talk about. It was the second play of the game, corner blitz, and I forget the receiver.
Yeah.
I forget the receiver. Do you remember the receiver, Spoon?
On the slip screen?
Yeah.
It might have been Khalif Raymond. I'm not sure.
So it's a corner blitz from the defense's right, and Jared Goff slip screens to the defense's left. And as any corner would, Carrington Valentine is screaming off the line of scrimmage. I mean, just a dead spread. And he has no chance to even get a pressure on this because it's a slip screen. I mean, Jared Goff is catch and release. And instead of okay, that's the play, Carrington Valentine continues to dead sprint to the opposite sideline and actually ends up assisting on a tackle by Keyshawn Nixon on the opposite sideline.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's who this dude is. Mm-hmm. And I think that a play like that, especially early in the game, when you are full throttle hustle, can really be infectious. And that's how the Packers defense kind of played today, right? I mean, they play, their speed was off the charts. Micah Parsons helps, but hustling like that so early, play of the game that nobody's going to talk about.
Well, that's what it all boiled down to. The Packers set the tone from the beginning. They dictated the game. They went down the field, a 12-play, 68-yard drive. They scored, got a 3-and-out. Parsons pressures, you mentioned Valentine. Then they get a field goal from McManus. And then, it's 17-3 like that. They dictated how the game was going to play. As far as special teams, very fascinating stuff that I saw. Kick return. You saw Savion Williams and Bo Melton there. Mm-hmm. Punt return. You started with Matthew Golden. Then they put a Jaden Reed back there.
They both look good.
They did.
Go figure.
They did. So I guess starting with the kick return, that was very surprising because, for one, Savion Williams has been hurt so much. He hasn't had a lot of practice time. He was able to get some in this week on a limited basis. But, his first, kick that he received, he got, a 21-yard game?
Holding assisted.
Well, it was longer than that. Yeah, right. That's right.
Like it was 20.
It was longer, but it was 21 official after the hold.
Yeah.
The only real similarity today to 2024 was special teams penalties. So apparently that's still a thing.
Yeah, we do have to give props because Spoon, I think you called it. You wanted to see Savion maybe in a kick return situation.
I did, yeah. and I think that's going to be. I think he's going to hold that position for a while. I think that's. I think at some point they'll want to use Keyshawn Nixon just because he's so dangerous. But Savion Williams, that's a good way to make sure he's, active and getting some plays in. But what I will say about special teams, the penalties were there again. And I swear to God, they called, and I'm not excusing the Packers, but on both sides, the officials, there's holding on every single play. Yeah. It's, I don't know what they have to do to change that, but the Packers are particularly bad at it and need to change it. But I will say their coverage is excellent.
Yeah.
And Nick Nyman, the guy they picked up at the end, I think he was in on 4 tackles. Mm-hmm. And to add a guy like that, all of a sudden he's here for, a week, and he has an impact like that. That's pretty big. And then, of course, Whelan was just off the charts good. He changed the field for them.
Yeah. The Savion Williams, Keyshawn Nixon thing is really interesting to me because ordinarily I would expect, just wait till the weather gets cold. There's more return opportunities. That's when you'll have Keyshawn Nixon back deep. But it sure seems in this early sampling of the NFL season like pushing the touchback up to 35 has maybe been the limit now, where teams are like, okay, that's too much to give up. Like, field position, we're not going. If it's the 30, but 35's too. You're seeing more kickoff opportunities already. So I wonder when that line comes. Now, I think what would be the most advantageous for the Packers is not only for Savion Williams to seize the kickoff job and be able to hold it, because Keyshawn Nixon's got a full plate on defense, but I'm sure I'm in the minority here eventually. I think their best case scenario is for Savion Williams to be able to handle punt return duty as well. Because I just don't know how many times you want to subject Jaden Reed and Matthew Golden to those kind of hits. Now, it's only a handful of games, but it's not the best case scenario. They handled it fine today, but taking those kind of shots on punt returns, those are two pillars of your offense. You need them in the long haul. Savion Williams, he can contribute, but maybe not so much as the other two. So
I'd be worried about his hands on punt return.
I get that, but he's a receiver. He is a receiver. He's not a corner. He's a guy that is being paid in the NFL as a receiver, and I think should be expected to be able to handle those type of things. I don't know if he can. I'm just saying I think the best case scenario is for him to be able to, and we'll see if that ever happens.
I thought it was fascinating because, I just wasn't sure what they were going to do because I think on the podcast I was thinking, they'll probably call up Hardman. That was my thought.
Mm-hmm. I thought that, too.
That was kind of my guess, but then I saw, Savion a kick return. You see Golden. You see Reed at punt. So I was like, at least for one game, it all went well in terms of that operation. And like you said, Whelan is still Whelan, and McManus once again had a clean performance. What was he, 3 for 3? I think what he had, 34-yarder, 38-yarder, or 2 for 2.
2 for 2.
Yeah, 38 and 34. Yeah, so I guess as we wrap up, any kind of final words? I mean, it's going to be a short turnaround. The Commanders will be in town on Thursday, and they'll still have, 2 days of practice throughout this week. And
and a different type of quarterback. Now, Jaden Daniels isn't Lamar Jackson. He's not looking to really make you pay for running. He will if he has to, but he wants to throw. And so I'm very interested to see how they try to defend him and how aggressive Parsons is. And now, teams have gotten a look at the first game against their defense. What are they going to do to protect? So we'll see how that goes. Should be a good game. Should be really competitive.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep it here. We'll get more into the Commanders later in this short week. We started by Spoon and I laying out how really these are two teams today that met that are in a transition, right? Spoon is absolutely right that if the Packers, knowing they had to take the Lions twice, if you had to pick one of those matchups, it would have been today. Mm-hmm. 2 new coordinators, first time, they're feeling things out. They look like a team that certainly is feeling things out. The Packers transitions happened over the last 10 days. It hasn't been the offseason. It is a very good transition for them. I mean, they would obviously, they welcome and embrace Micah Parsons with open arms. But I do think, this was the tip of the iceberg today. Micah Parsons played less than half the snaps. I asked him after the game, how's the backfield? He's like, I'm healthy. I asked him about Thursday night. He said, I think the coaching staff's going to continue to ramp me up. It's not going to be a full slate yet, but he does expect by the end of the month to be full go. Okay, so this is a guy who didn't have a training camp, did not have, had the back injury or non-injury coming in. Just they weren't going to unleash him fully. He expects by the end of the month, for that to happen. That there's a transition happening here in Green Bay too. That they're very, very much in the early stages of that. 2 teams in transition. It's not so much the Packers won today; it was an ass kicking. They dominated. The way they won, I think, is very significant. Who knows what these 2 teams will look like? Not just because of injuries, but all the changes upcoming for both teams by the time they meet in Detroit on Thanksgiving. But for 2 teams in transition, you can't watch this game and think, okay, this was all that close. Like the Packers are right now much further ahead than the Lions, and it's been a few years since we've been able to say that. Like the Lions have looked consistently well ahead of the Packers these last 3 years. The script got flipped today. Doesn't mean that the next 16 games are going to go that way. But today, it was not close.
After going 1-5 last year in the division, you just couldn't do that again. That's simple. So you got them week 1. You got them in Lambeau. You said the stars aligned for them to take care of business, and they did. You could say there's no time to celebrate because a really good Commanders team is coming into Lambeau on Thursday. And like I said, it's just a long season, but like you said, that you had to take care of business, and this is what you needed to do against this team. And again, we joked about the statement wins. At least there was a statement made that they are going to be in the mix, at least right now. If things continually go down this path, they stay healthy, it seems like the Packers are going to be one of those teams that will have a say in the NFC. So that's what it's all about. And guys, we can wrap this up and go to bed, and that'll be about maybe one day of sleep because we'll be right back here on Thursday for more football. But that's what it's all about.
Isn't that wild?
Yes.
Isn't that wild to think about? Man, a week 2 Thursday night short week is just that's different.
I don't know. You're going to have one at some point. So
early in the season. I'm not used to that.
Have it now than in December when I'm totally exhausted.
That's a great point. I'll give you that.
Is that Thanksgiving game late in the season? That's a short week too, isn't it?
That's on a Thursday.
Yeah, it is.
Thanksgiving goes on.
Yeah, I know, but that's on. Like, in the past, they've had Thursday to Thursday.
Yeah, Thursday to Thursday.
Yeah.
No, I
That's
don't think
that's
so.
a Sunday to Thursday.
Yeah.
So we're getting 2. But
Yeah, we're getting there. But one game at a time, Ryan. Starts Thursday with
well,
the Commanders.
I'm hungry, man. I'm already thinking about Thanksgiving.
Hey, same. And we'll talk more about that later. But in the meantime, thank you all for checking out the Green 19 podcast. For Ryan Wood, Tom Silverstein, I'm Dominique Yates.